The unforgiving African sun beat down upon a scene that would forever haunt the memories of anyone who witnessed it. A tiny cheetah cub, no bigger than a house cat, was a study in desperate vulnerability, its every movement a testament to an unimaginable will to live. Its front limbs, clearly mangled and twisted, seemed to protest with every agonizing flex, yet still it pushed. The cub was attempting to scale a makeshift wall of crude, stacked stones, each one a monumental obstacle for its broken body. A barely audible whimper escaped its parched throat, a sound swallowed instantly by the vast, indifferent landscape. Dust, the color of dried blood, clung to its matted fur, and its eyes, wide with a primal fear and an even more primal determination, held a flicker of something profoundly ancient. How it had even reached this desolate place, let alone possessed the strength to attempt such a feat, defied logic. It was a heart-wrenching tableau of pure, unadulterated struggle against overwhelming odds, a tiny life hanging by the thinnest of threads in the relentless embrace of the wild. Every clumsy lunge upwards, every scrape of its weak claws against the rough stone painted a vivid picture of its desperate bid for survival, a fragile spark refusing to be extinguished. Miles away, nestled amidst the golden savanna, Dr. Lena Hansen, a seasoned American wildlife veterinarian, was meticulously examining data on local predator movements. Her face, etched with years of sun and countless sleepless nights, spoke of an unwavering dedication to her calling. Beside her was Mark, a younger American conservationist whose idealism still burned bright, tempered by the harsh realities of their work. They were the heart and soul of a small but vital wildlife rehabilitation center, a sanctuary for injured and orphaned animals, with a particular focus on the magnificent yet increasingly endangered big cats of Africa. Their facility, rustic yet incredibly efficient, was a beacon of hope in a land where hope often felt scarce. Lena, with her quiet strength and encyclopedic knowledge, and Mark, with his boundless energy and fierce protectiveness, formed a formidable team, a blend of scientific rigor and passionate advocacy. Their tranquil morning was abruptly shattered by the crackle of the radio, an urgent distress call. A ranger from a remote sector, far beyond their usual patrol routes, had stumbled upon a sight that had clearly shaken him to his core. A cheetah cub, isolated, barely conscious, and severely injured. The description was vague, but the gravity of the situation was unmistakable. Lena's jaw tightened, her mind already racing through possible scenarios, potential injuries, and the dwindling chances of survival. Isolated, seriously injured. How isolated are we talking, Mark? Lena's voice was low, laced with a familiar weariness that came from years of witnessing such tragedies. Mark, already pulling up grid coordinates on his tablet, replied, "Far. Uncomfortably far, Lena. It's almost 2 days' drive just to get close, then who knows what on foot. And the cub, he said it looked like it had been hit by a truck, though that's impossible out there." A heavy silence descended upon them, broken only by the hum of the generator. The ethical dilemma was always present, a constant shadow in their line of work. Nature, red in tooth and claw, often dictated its own brutal terms. To intervene, to defy the natural order, was a decision they grappled with every single time. Were they prolonging inevitable suffering, or were they offering a second chance, a defiance against a fate that seemed all too certain? Their commitment to saving every life, however, often outweighed the philosophical debate. It was an unwritten pact between them, a desperate optimism that fueled their relentless efforts. A gravely injured cub, alone in the vast wilderness, stood no chance. Natural selection would be swift and merciless. But the image of that vulnerable creature, struggling for breath, for life, tugged fiercely at Lena's heart, a visceral response that trumped all logic. "Get the Land Rover prepped, Mark," Lena finally said, her voice firm, resolute. "Pack the emergency kit, sedatives, fluids. We leave at first light. This cub, it deserves a fighting chance, even if the odds are stacked against it." The mission was clear, the risks immense, but the call to intervene was undeniable. And for those of you watching, if stories of resilience, of incredible rescue, and the unbreakable spirit of nature move you, then please consider subscribing to our channel. Join us as we uncover more incredible journeys of survival that will touch your soul and perhaps even change the way you see the world. The digital clock on the dashboard glowed ominously, each passing minute a heavy weight pressing down on Lena and Mark as they began their perilous journey. Their trusty, albeit well-worn, Land Cruiser rumbled to life, kicking up a cloud of ochre dust that momentarily obscured the burgeoning African dawn. The distress call had come from a remote outpost, a fleeting signal reporting a tiny, critically injured cheetah cub, alone and vulnerable. This was not a well-trodden path. Their GPS indicated routes that quickly dissolved into mere suggestions on the rugged landscape, carved by seasonal rains and the passage of countless hooves. The first challenge arose within the hour: a swollen river, its usually placid waters now a turbulent, muddy torrent after an unseasonal downpour. Mark, with his conservationist's intimate knowledge of the terrain, carefully navigated the vehicle, testing the ford's depth with a long stick, his brow furrowed in concentration. Lena, clutching a worn medical kit, watched the roiling water, her mind already racing through possible scenarios for the cub's injuries. The engine groaned in protest, water lapping precariously at the doors, but they pushed through, emerging on the far bank, dripping but undeterred. The landscape transformed from sparse bush veld to denser acacia woodlands, then gave way to vast open grasslands where the relentless sun beat down with brutal intensity. The air shimmered, distorting the distant baobab trees into ethereal giants. They encountered herds of wildebeest thundering across their path, a kaleidoscope of zebra stripes, and the watchful eyes of giraffes peering over thorny bushes. Each sighting was a powerful reminder of the delicate, brutal balance of this ecosystem, a balance they were about to disrupt, perhaps save. The urgency in Lena's chest grew with every bump and jolt, the hours stretching into what felt like an eternity. The thought of that small, broken creature enduring another moment alone fueled their determination. Finally, after what felt like an endless expedition, the distinctive parched landscape described by the ranger began to emerge. Mark slowed the vehicle, his keen eyes scanning the horizon. "There," he whispered, pointing towards a cluster of sun-baked boulders. Lena followed his gaze, her breath catching in her throat. Nested precariously at the base of the rocks, a pathetic bundle of spotted fur lay almost lifeless. They approached with extreme caution, Lena's heart pounding against her ribs. The sight was even more heartbreaking than anticipated. The cub was impossibly small, no more than a few months old, its once vibrant coat dulled by dust and dehydration. Its ribs were starkly visible beneath its skin, a testament to prolonged starvation. But it was its front limbs that truly clinched Lena's gut. They were splayed at grotesque angles, clearly broken, lying twisted beneath its tiny chest. The cub barely stirred, its breathing shallow, eyes glazed over with a mixture of pain and fear. Lena knelt, her professional calm barely masking the surge of raw emotion. "Multiple fractures, no doubt," she murmured, her voice tight with concern. dehydration, severe malnutrition. This is critical, Mark. As Lena gently began her initial assessment, attempting to administer a subcutaneous fluid drip, Mark's gaze wandered. A few yards away, almost camouflaged by the dry grasses, was a low, rudimentary stone wall. It wasn't natural. The stones were roughly stacked, forming a barrier perhaps 3 feet high. It stretched for a surprising distance, seemingly without purpose in the middle of nowhere. He squinted, trying to discern its origin. The cub lay just a short distance from it. Had it fallen from that wall? Had something pushed it? The mystery of its presence in such a remote area, alongside such an unusual structure, added another layer of grim speculation to the cub's already dire circumstances. With painstaking precision, Lena prepared a mild sedative. The cub was too fragile for anything strong. As the sedative slowly took effect, she and Mark worked in tandem, gently cradling the tiny, limp body. They carefully placed it into a custom-designed transport crate, lined with soft blankets, ensuring minimal movement of its injured limbs. The journey back would be even more fraught with anxiety, each bump a potential setback. But as they turned the Land Cruiser towards the faint track leading home, a sliver of hope, fragile yet persistent, flickered within Lena. They had found the cub. Now, the real fight for its life began. Back at the medical tent, a makeshift but incredibly well-equipped facility nestled within the conservation center's perimeter, Lena's hands moved with practiced urgency. The tiny cheetah cub lay still on the sterile examination table, its breathing shallow, its body a canvas of raw vulnerability. Mark, ever her silent, steadfast shadow, prepared the X-ray equipment, his brow furrowed with concern. The digital images flickered onto the screen, bathing the tent in a pale, clinical light, and Lena's heart sank with each successive view. The initial assessment had been grave, but the X-rays confirmed her worst fears. Multiple comminuted fractures in both front legs, specifically the radius and ulna. It wasn't a simple break. These were complex, devastating injuries, consistent with a severe, high-impact fall. The prognosis was undeniably grim, a silent pronouncement hanging heavy in the air. Most veterinarians would consider euthanasia a humane option in such a case, deeming recovery unlikely, quality of life diminished. But Lena, looking at the fragile form, saw not just broken bones but an indomitable spirit already fighting for every breath. She wouldn't give up. Not yet. Against all odds, the cub displayed an astonishing, albeit faint, spark of life. Even through its pain, a primal resilience flickered. When Lena gently stroked its head, a faint purr, rough and raspy, vibrated through its tiny chest. Its eyes, barely open, tracked her movements, a silent plea for comfort, a testament to its will to survive. This unexpected defiance, this tiny flicker of hope, cemented Lena's resolve. She decided then and there to give the cub a name that encapsulated its essence. Spirit. The name was whispered, a quiet vow in the hushed tent, and Mark nodded in agreement, a shared understanding passing between them. Spirit's fight fueled their own. While Lena meticulously planned Spirit's complex surgical repair, Mark, true to his inquisitive nature, delved into the mystery of the peculiar stone wall. He spent hours poring over old maps, satellite imagery, and local historical records, trying to understand its origin and purpose. Was it a natural formation, weathered by millennia of wind and rain into an unnatural shape? Was it the remnant of an ancient ruin, perhaps a forgotten kraal or a boundary marker from a bygone era? Or, more disturbingly, could it have been something else entirely, a structure with a more sinister intent, leading to Spirit's catastrophic fall? Each theory presented more questions than answers, adding another layer to the cub's already tragic story. The wall, seemingly inanimate, held secrets they had yet to uncover. The early rehabilitation efforts were painstaking, a delicate dance between surgical precision and compassionate care. Lena, with Mark assisting, worked for hours, meticulously setting Spirit's tiny bones. Custom-made casts, crafted from lightweight, durable materials, were carefully applied to stabilize the fractures, ensuring minimal discomfort while maximizing healing potential. The process was slow, demanding immense patience and an unwavering focus. Beyond the physical mending, there was the critical task of nourishment. Spirit was severely dehydrated and emaciated. A specialized feeding regimen was initiated, tiny amounts of nutrient-rich formula administered frequently, slowly coaxing life back into its frail body. Each milliliter was a victory, each purr a small celebration. The immense dedication required for Spirit's care began to take its emotional toll, stretching Lena and Mark to their limits, yet deepening their bond with the courageous little cub. They were more than caregivers. They were Spirit's last hope, two humans pouring every ounce of their expertise and empathy into saving a life that nature seemed intent on reclaiming. Spirit's recovery was a torturous dance of micro-victories and frustrating regressions, a true test of Lena and Mark's endurance. One day, the cub might manage to lift its head a fraction higher, a flicker of strength returning, only to be followed by a day of profound lethargy, refusing food, its tiny body racked with tremors. Each small improvement filled them with elation, soaring hopes that were frequently dashed by alarming setbacks. Lena meticulously adjusted medication, refined feeding schedules, and constantly reassessed the cub's pain management, her brow often furrowed with worry. Mark, equally invested, spent countless hours simply sitting beside Spirit's enclosure, murmuring reassuring words, offering gentle touches, his presence a constant, comforting anchor for the fragile creature. The emotional roller coaster was relentless, a cycle of desperate optimism and crushing despair. Their attachment to the cub deepened with every sleepless night, every difficult medical procedure, every tentative purr. Spirit wasn't just a patient, it was a tiny, furry member of their makeshift family, its struggle mirroring their own unwavering commitment. Mark, driven by the desire to understand Spirit's origins and the enigmatic stone wall, continued his research, expanding his focus beyond maps and historical documents. He started interviewing elders from local villages, known for their deep respect for the land and their ancestral knowledge. These conversations proved invaluable. He uncovered ancient folklore connected to similar stone structures, tales passed down through generations. These weren't mere geological anomalies or forgotten ruins. They were often deliberate constructions, ancient markers delineating territorial boundaries, or even, in more chilling narratives, places associated with dangerous spirits or treacherous hunting grounds where prey might be driven into ambushes. Some spoke of walls of sorrow, built to warn travelers of perilous cliffs or sudden drops, places where animals, and sometimes people, met their demise. This new understanding transformed the seemingly random wall into a profound piece of local history, adding a layer of cultural depth and a sense of foreboding to Spirit's predicament. The cub hadn't merely fallen from a wall, it had fallen from a boundary steeped in ancient warnings and untold tragedies. As word of Spirit's miraculous survival and Lena and Mark's tireless efforts spread through the surrounding communities, the local villagers began to offer their support. Initially, it was small gestures, fresh herbs for poultices, traditional remedies for pain, or comforting stories whispered through the wire mesh of the enclosure. But soon, it grew. Elders visited, sharing their deep reverence for wildlife, their intuitive knowledge of animal behavior, and their intimate understanding of the land. They offered insights into the ways of cheetahs, shared observations from generations of living alongside these magnificent predators. This unexpected outpouring of community involvement wasn't just practical assistance. It forged a powerful connection between the scientific, Western approach of Lena and Mark and the ancient, spiritual wisdom of the local culture. It became a unifying force, everyone rooting for the tiny cub, a symbol of hope and resilience for all. Weeks bled into months, each day a small battle won or lost. Then, one crisp morning, after what felt like an eternity of agonizingly slow progress, Spirit delivered a breakthrough. Lena was gently massaging one of the cub's still fragile front limbs, a routine physiotherapy exercise, when a distinct, unmistakable twitch rippled through the muscles. It was slight, barely perceptible, but it was there, a voluntary movement in a limb that had been completely unresponsive for so long. A jolt of pure elation shot through Lena. This wasn't merely a spasm, it was a clear sign of nerve regeneration, a vital reconnection within Spirit's tiny body. Her breath caught in her throat, and she signaled wildly to Mark. The sight of that tiny twitch, a beacon of emerging life, renewed their determination tenfold. It was proof that their relentless efforts were yielding results, a shimmering glimmer of hope that Spirit might, against all odds, truly walk again. The fight was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, the path ahead seemed a little brighter. Mark's persistent research, aided by new drone footage provided by a conservation group, finally unveiled the chilling truth about the enigmatic stone wall. It wasn't a natural formation, nor merely an ancient boundary marker. The drone, soaring above the landscape, captured a wider perspective, revealing a subtle, almost imperceptible curvature to the wall, extending for many kilometers. Cross-referencing this with geological surveys and old hunting records, they discovered it was part of an ancient, deliberately constructed funnel system. For centuries, various indigenous groups, and later early European settlers, had used such structures to herd game, sometimes even big cats, towards natural traps or skilled hunters lying in wait. The wall where Spirit was found was a weathered remnant, a broken cog in a long-abandoned, yet still deadly, mechanism. This revelation made Spirit's incredible ascent even more astonishing. The cub hadn't merely fallen from a random ruin. It had climbed a structure designed, in part, to funnel and ensnare. That tiny, broken creature, amidst its agony, had somehow found the strength and instinctual will to scale a barrier meant to contain and direct larger, healthier animals. It had defied history, biology, and the very purpose of its surroundings. The sheer improbability of its survival, the monumental effort encapsulated in that single act of climbing, resonated deeply with Lena and Mark, solidifying their belief in Spirit's extraordinary resilience. As the weeks turned into months, Spirit's fragile body began its arduous journey towards healing. The initial meticulous care by Lena and Mark yielded tangible results. The custom casts were eventually removed, revealing fragile limbs that, while still weak, were no longer hopelessly broken. The physiotherapy sessions became the new focus, a delicate balance of encouragement and gentle manipulation. Lena, with her veterinary expertise, devised innovative exercises. Mark, with his boundless youthful energy, became Spirit's dedicated companion during these sessions. He would hold Spirit, supporting its small frame, as it took tentative wobbly steps on a specially constructed padded track. Each twitch of a muscle, each slight improvement in balance, was met with soft praise and affectionate rubs. Spirit, in turn, began to respond with burgeoning trust and affection. The tentative purrs of early days became rumbling affirmations when Mark or Lena approached. Its eyes, once clouded with pain, now shone with intelligence and a growing curiosity. It would bat playfully at their hands during feeding, its claws, still retracted, showing the cheetah's innate wildness struggling to emerge from within the domesticated medical routine. These small victories, these daily steps forward, were the fuel that kept Lena and Mark going, testament to the powerful bond forming between the human healers and their cheetah patient. Spirit was not just a case study anymore. It was a companion, a symbol of hope. However, as Spirit grew stronger, a new, insidious threat began to loom large: the financial reality of running a small, independent rehabilitation center. The specialized medical supplies, the round-the-clock care, the custom diets, the unique equipment needed for Spirit's recovery, all came with a steep price tag. Their meager grants were quickly depleting, and the emergency funds, once sufficient for immediate crises, were now strained to their limits. Mark, usually so optimistic, started looking worriedly at the dwindling supplies and the mounting bills. Lena, typically stoic, began to show signs of stress, spending late nights agonizing over budgets, desperately seeking solutions. The crushing weight of financial strain, a stark contrast to the emotional victories with Spirit, threatened to derail everything they had achieved. Just as despair began to creep in, a lifeline appeared from an unexpected direction. Mark, remembering the power of social media, had been discreetly documenting Spirit's remarkable journey, sharing carefully curated updates and poignant photos on the center's fledgling social media pages. He narrated the cub's impossible climb, its fractured limbs, the dedicated care of Lena, and the growing bond between the tiny cheetah and its human saviors. The story, a raw testament to resilience and compassion, resonated. Slowly at first, then with increasing momentum, Spirit's tale went viral. Donations, small and large, began to pour in from around the world, from local communities in Africa to concerned individuals in the United States and everywhere in between. Messages of support, volunteer offers, and even equipment donations arrived, transforming the struggling center into a beacon of international goodwill. The overwhelming generosity, fueled by Spirit's story, offered a much-needed reprieve, a surge of unexpected support that renewed their hope and promised to keep Spirit's journey towards freedom alive. Months blurred into a steady rhythm of therapy, feedings, and quiet observation within the sanctuary. Spirit, no longer the fragile, broken creature they had found, was now a lean, agile adolescent, recovering with astounding rapidity. The casts were long gone, replaced by careful exercises designed to strengthen atrophied muscles and restore full range of motion to its once shattered limbs. Yet, as the cub's physical prowess grew, a new set of concerns began to weigh heavily on Lena's mind: the daunting road to release. While Spirit could run, leap, and stalk with growing confidence during its rehabilitation sessions, the wild was an entirely different arena. Could it truly hunt effectively against swift, healthy prey? Would its early trauma, the lingering phantom pains, or perhaps a psychological scar, hinder its natural instincts? The question of its independent survival, its ability to thrive without human intervention, loomed large. To bridge this crucial gap between rehabilitation and true wild readiness, the team embarked on an innovative, yet risky, strategy. They introduced Spirit to an unexpected mentor, an older, non-releasable female cheetah named Amani, rescued years prior after a severe snare injury left her permanently lame. Amani, wise and patient, became Spirit's surrogate mother figure. Initially, Spirit was wary, its instinct still recognizing the human scent of its primary caregivers. But Amani, with quiet dignity, began to teach. She demonstrated stalking techniques, using enrichment toys as mock prey, her body language conveying ancient lessons of stealth and precision. She purred deep, rumbling assurances, grooming Spirit with a rough tongue, slowly fostering a bond that began to reawaken the cub's innate cheetah behaviors. It was a beautiful, unexpected alliance, Amani providing the natural guidance that Lena and Mark, despite all their expertise, could never fully replicate. Watching them, Lena felt a profound sense of hope. With Amani by Spirit's side, the mystery of the stone wall resurfaced, no longer a source of dread, but a point of reflection. Lena and Mark revisited the site, the harsh African sun beating down as they stood before the ancient structure. Mark, armed with new understanding from his research and local elder interviews, explained that the wall was indeed much older than they first thought, part of a complex system of ancient game capture enclosures, designed to funnel unsuspecting prey. It was a relic of a time when human ingenuity was bent towards survival in a different, more brutal way. This realization deepened their appreciation for Spirit's impossible feat. To have, in its tiny, broken state, crawled and fallen from such a structure, and then persisted in its fight for life, was truly miraculous. The wall, once a symbol of Spirit's near demise, now stood as a silent monument to its incredible will. The final preparations for Spirit's release were meticulous and exhaustive. Intensive training and conditioning became the daily routine. Simulating hunts with live, non-endangered prey animals under controlled conditions allowed them to assess Spirit's developing predatory skills without risk. Interactive sessions with other cheetahs, carefully monitored for aggression or fear, helped Spirit refine its social cues, understanding its place within a larger structure. The surrogate mother, Amani, proved invaluable here, often intervening with a calming purr or a warning growl, teaching Spirit the subtle language of its kind. Every detail was considered, every possible scenario prepared for, ensuring that Spirit, with its extraordinary past, would have the absolute best possible chance of not just surviving, but truly thriving, back in the sprawling, beautiful wild. The day of release was drawing near, a culmination of months of unrelenting effort, hope, and unwavering dedication. The day of release dawned, a crisp African morning painted with hues of orange and gold. An air of nervous anticipation hung heavy, a palpable mix of excitement and trepidation. Spirit, now a sleek, vibrant adolescent, stood quietly in its transport crate, its golden eyes reflecting the sunrise, a stark contrast to the hollow, pain-filled gaze Lena had first encountered months ago. The carefully planned event saw the team, along with a small contingent of conservation officials and local elders, gathered at the edge of the vast, protected wilderness area chosen for Spirit's reintroduction. This wasn't merely a release. It was a homecoming, a testament to resilience and unwavering dedication. Lena, her heart a tangled knot of pride and anxiety, personally opened the gate. Spirit hesitated, a moment of uncertainty in its powerful frame, before stepping out. The initial moments of freedom were a breathtaking symphony of apprehension and instinct. Spirit paused, nostrils flaring as it drank in the scents of wild grasses, dew-kissed earth, and distant prey. Its ears swiveled, processing the chorus of calls and rustlings that were now its world again. Then, with an almost imperceptible shift, instinct took over. It began to walk slowly at first, tasting the freedom with each careful step. Lena and Mark watched from a respectful distance, binoculars pressed to their eyes, their breath held captive. They saw Spirit stumble slightly, a faint legacy of its broken limbs, but quickly recover, its muscles remembering the rhythm of the chase. A flash of movement in the distance, a gazelle, caught its attention. Spirit immediately dropped into a low crouch, a silent predator reawakened. It stalked for a brief, exhilarating moment, then launched into a short, explosive burst of speed. Not quite a full hunt, but a magnificent demonstration of its innate predatory skills, honed by Amani's patient tutelage. It missed the gazelle, of course. This was merely a practice run, but the raw power and instinct were undeniable. Then came the moment that would forever etch itself into their memories, the true destroy-you element that transcended all their expectations. The camera, meticulously positioned by Mark, followed Spirit's trajectory. As it moved deeper into the savannah, its gait growing more confident with every stride, it approached a small cluster of acacia trees. And there, beneath the dappled shade, was another cheetah. A lone, older female, her coat bearing the faint scars of a hard life, her eyes scanning the horizon with a weary vigilance. Lena's blood ran cold. This was an unscripted encounter, a potential territorial clash. But Spirit didn't show fear or aggression. Instead, it moved with a strange, hesitant curiosity. The older female, initially tensing, suddenly froze, her gaze fixed on Spirit. There was something in Spirit's unique markings, perhaps an almost imperceptible pattern on its face, or the familiar scent carried on the breeze, that triggered a flicker of recognition in the weary mother's eyes. This was the revelation, the heart-wrenching twist that defied all logical explanation. This was Spirit's birth mother, the one who had lost her other cubs to a leopard in the chaotic days following Spirit's disappearance, the one who had searched fruitlessly for weeks, and eventually, with a heavy heart, concluded her smallest, weakest cub was dead. The reunion was a silent, profoundly moving spectacle. The mother cheetah, her body language slowly softening from caution to an almost unbearable tenderness, advanced a few steps. Spirit responded in kind, a low, rumbling purr vibrating from its chest, a sound Lena and Mark rarely heard. They rubbed heads, a gentle, almost reverent touch. The mother licked Spirit's face, a deep, cleansing gesture that spoke volumes of lost time and rediscovered hope. It was a bond that had been severed by circumstance, a connection that natural selection dictates should have been broken forever. Yet, against all odds, through human intervention and the inexplicable pull of instinct, it had been restored. The emotional impact was overwhelming, a testament to the enduring power of family, even in the unforgiving wild. Lena felt tears stream down her face, a mix of pure joy and absolute disbelief. The air shimmered with anticipation as Spirit, now a sleek, vibrant young cheetah, stepped onto the sun-baked earth of its new territory. The release, a truly emotional crescendo, had culminated in this precise moment, the return of a miracle to its rightful home. Spirit had vanished into the tall savanna grasses just as the previous part concluded, a blur of spots against the golden landscape. What transpired next was nothing short of extraordinary, defying every expectation and reinforcing the profound bonds that transcend mere survival. Spirit moved with a cautious grace, its powerful limbs, once so fragile, now carrying it effortlessly over the uneven terrain. Lena and Mark, observing from a respectful distance with the wildlife team, held their breaths. The initial apprehension in Spirit's movements gradually gave way to an innate confidence as the sights, sounds, and smells of the wild enveloped it. It was truly magnificent to witness. The first true test of its learned skills came with the fleeting shadow of an impala in the distance. Spirit crouched low, a primal instinct kicking in, muscles coiling. It was a perfect textbook demonstration of the stealth Amani had imparted, followed by an explosive burst of speed. The hunt was successful, a testament to months of rigorous training and the relentless will to survive. This triumph, however, was merely a prelude to the true emotional revelation. As Spirit surveyed its surroundings after the hunt, a faint, almost imperceptible call echoed across the savannah. A lone, older female cheetah emerged from behind a kopje, her gait hesitant, her eyes scanning the horizon with an almost palpable sense of loss. It was Spirit's birth mother. The narrative had subtly suggested this possibility, but seeing it unfold, raw and unscripted, was profoundly moving. The mother, having lost her entire litter to a hyena attack shortly after Spirit's miraculous climb, had been wandering the plains, her spirit broken by grief. It was an almost impossible coincidence, a twist of fate orchestrated by the very wilderness that had once threatened to claim Spirit's life. Spirit paused, its ears swiveling, a flicker of recognition in its amber eyes. It didn't bolt in fear, nor did it show aggression. Instead, with a tentative curiosity, Spirit approached the older female. The mother, too, seemed to falter, an ancient memory stirred by Spirit's unique markings, a subtle pattern near its left eye that had been etched into her memory. She sniffed the air, her senses overwhelmed by an impossible scent, the scent of her lost cub, now older, stronger, yet unmistakably her own. It was a silent, powerful reunion. No grand gestures, no theatrical roars, just a slow, deliberate nuzzle, a gentle purr from the mother, deep and resonant, that spoke volumes of relief and rekindled hope. The bond, severed by circumstance, was miraculously restored, defying the harsh realities of natural selection, proving that love and instinct could bridge even the most formidable chasm. Lena wiped away a tear, her own heart swelling with an emotion she couldn't adequately describe. Mark stood beside her, equally moved, understanding that this was far more than a successful rehabilitation. It was a testament to the interconnectedness of all life. To witness such a profound reunion, a family unit restored against all logical odds, was a privilege that transcended their scientific work. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated hope. Spirit's story, from its broken beginnings atop a stone wall to its miraculous reunion with its mother, became a powerful legend amongst the local communities and beyond. It was a symbol of hope, a beacon of perseverance, and an undeniable testament to the critical importance of conservation. Lena and Mark continued their vital work, but Spirit's journey had etched an indelible mark on their souls, reminding them daily of the profound difference compassion and unwavering dedication could make. The natural world, in its raw beauty and brutal honesty, also held an incredible capacity for resilience and love. We are so grateful you joined us on Spirit's extraordinary journey. If this incredible tale of survival and reunion touched your heart, please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and share this video with others who believe in the power of hope and conservation. Your support helps us continue telling these vital stories. Check out these related videos for more impactful wildlife rescues and amazing moments from the wild African savanna. Thank you for watching, and remember, every life matters.